Good morning, Mr. Hughes. We are here one day before the opening of the new Long Point Ferry Terminal. We will engage in a brief conversation about how we got here and the need for a new terminal. As we know, in September of 2017, Hurricane Irma hit Anguilla and the Long Point Ferry Terminal was destroyed and subsequently demolished. Can you tell us what plans were in place, if any, upon coming to office in 2020 and how we've gotten to this point?
So in September of 2017, Hurricane Irma devastated Anguilla and it damaged a significant number of our physical infrastructure. The B.W.I Ferry Terminal, the previous B.W.I Ferry Terminal was damaged, the roof was damaged, and it was the belief of the stakeholders that they could restore the building until the government of Anguilla got to the position where they could build a new facility. That said, the decision was made to destroy the existing terminal, to demolish the existing terminal, with the view that by doing so, it could force the British government to have to step up and do something. That was rooted in a lack of understanding of how British government works, not only British government works, how the financial years work and how the financial the expenditure of funds work in England. That said, it was demolished and a tent was erected adjacent to the old cargo facility down at B.W.I Point. The tent was untenable, and as a radio talk show host, I made a noise about it because I was there and it was raining, persons including myself, wet. I did a live from there, and eventually they moved into a temporary facility at a significant rent over the last 4 years, I would say. The B.W.I Ferry Terminal was supposed to begin many years ago, but because other persons had other ideas through a special purpose vehicle, through the entertaining of a private partner to develop the B.W.I Ferry Terminal, it never got off the ground. On coming to office, I met with the technical staff here at the Ministry of Infrastructure and Tourism, and Mr. Claudius Combs in particular, he advised me as to how we can get it back. And I would like to use the words of Mr. Ivan Khan at this time, where he always said, this was the one that got away. And following that meeting, I reached out to the governor, Mr. Tim Foy at the time. I went to his office, we had a discussion. He advised me as to how we can get the funding back for the B.W.I Ferry Terminal. We had extensive discussions. Came back to the office, I followed his instructions, sent the emails to the relevant parties that I needed to, and the rest is history. Then we were able to secure the funding. Now, there were no plans, no drawings that were done. So we engaged Mr. Raoul Van der Poel and partners at B Architecture. We sat down. We decided what the scope was, what was the envelope in terms of the envelope for spend, how much square footage it was, and we'd have to work within those parameters. Together, myself and Mr. Van der Poel and our stakeholders, we came up with an initial concept where we took it to Executive Council chambers with the Premier. The Premier wanted to ensure that there were facilities in there to take care of persons who had medical emergencies and testing and the like. That was placed into the building. We came up with the concept. Claudius, his team, Cassine Ford, and the team had the Ministry of Infrastructure. Then went ahead and did all of the civil engineer, the map, the air conditioning, etc., that needed for the facility. We moved forward with the facility. We had Mr. Corday Nias, Astor, and Mr. Claudius Combs project manage this project. Contract was signed with Mr. Leroy Gomes of Leeward Construction, and I must say, I must commend him and his team for doing a tremendous job down there for delivering on this facility. So I think that this is a total Anguillan-owned, Anguillan-managed, Anguillan project, and I'm so proud of the team for the job that they have done thus far.
Excellent. I am looking across on the desk and I see at the very top you have some plans, and I believe the pictures that I'm seeing, and anyone who would have seen the mock-up and the drawings of this, it is almost identical.
Almost identical.
So what I have seen in pictures recent of the project down to the motifs that is there.
Including the landscaping.
Yes.
Including the landscape. Now I want to say something about the landscaping. So once we got to a point, every project that we we have done since coming to office, I like to see projects completed with landscape and green spaces and so forth. No project that you've seen that have worked on from the Valley Main Road to the airport road, to the B.W.I Ferry Terminal to the Georgia bypass, and soon the new airport terminal, you will see is done without finishing touches of the green spaces. I think that is very important for any new project, especially in the tropics. So once we had gotten to that point, I wanted to engage stakeholders, to have stakeholder input, just as we had stakeholder input on the Valley Main Road, in terms of the market, when they engage stakeholders on the market and got the market done, and the Valley Main Road done. And we engage stakeholders also on this particular facility. And we engage stakeholders, number of hoteliers, and Aurora again stepped up to the plate. Mr. Brian Corbett and his team, they were able to quickly turn around after we had engaged some stakeholders before who had declined to participate. And they quickly turned around and ensured that the landscaping was in. Now, when the facility is open, you will realize that the area that is supposed to be grass is not grass as yet. Grass is being planted, so it takes some time to root and to germinate. But all of the other plants have already been installed on both the land side and the seaside. Also, we engaged other stakeholders such as Zimmer Beach and Quintessence Hotel, and they're stepping up in terms of our VIP rooms. Now, I would say that the VIP rooms is something that I really wanted, because this B.W.I facility is very important to us. Before COVID, 91% of our visitors came through B.W.I. That is how important B.W.I Ferry Terminal is to us. And the numbers have changed because we're seeking to develop the airport now, but B.W.I Ferry Terminal will continue to remain critically important to us. And always we used to be that we would have facilities that did not have that added touch, so that VIPs and dignitaries can be treated in the same manner in which we are treated as dignitaries and so forth when we travel to other jurisdictions. So it was important to me to have those facilities in place, and I think that persons viewing it will be very pleased and proud to see the facility that we have had. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a facility that everybody is going to enjoy. It's going to be fit for purpose. The boat operators, everybody is going to be in a place of comfort where they can work comfortably. The whole layout of the building boards for smooth transition of both departing visitors, departing guests and locals alike, and on the arrival side for the people who are coming into the island, whether they're locals or visitors. Now, when it's open, everything won't be there. For example, we want a conveyor belt to deal with the luggage. The scanning and all of those things will not be in places yet, but that is minor issues that we will deal with at a later time. But for the most part, the building will be open and fully functional and ready for business.
Excellent. As I look behind you with this great image behind you, and I see Ministry of Infrastructure and Tourism, it is no doubt that those two marry together very well, as we are now seeing a terminal, a ferry terminal, that we can be proud of as Anguillians. When we look at the tourists that we are marketing towards, we are looking at luxury, and having walked through this terminal before, it is one of class, it is one of luxury. Again, it's one that I think every Anguillian can be proud of. Looking to the future, is there any plans for expansion at this time? And we're talking about a brand new building and it is fit for purpose, but as a country that is continuously growing, is there room for expansion? Should we arise?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm glad that you raised that question. Just to know, this was not pre-planned. Questions were not posed to me before. It was not pre-planned. And I want to go back first to your idea of the Ministry of Tourism and Infrastructure being together. As a parliamentary secretary responsible for tourism between the years 2010 and 2015, I always believed, based on my experience then, that infrastructure and tourism should be married, especially coming from someone who have a tourism background. I had never had an infrastructure background, but I really was keen on infrastructure development. And I expressed this to the doctor at the time in our premier, that I would like to tackle the idea of infrastructure development in Anguilla and develop the product. And this is why I've asked the roads team and so forth, instead of just cutting the trees, we want to prune those trees along the roadside and create hedges across the entire island, using the wild mimosa and all of the indigenous bushes that we have across the island. Just have hedges and just upgrade the entire island on the whole. Removing of derelict vehicles, enforcement of the Litter Abatement Act, really honing down on presenting a luxury destination. We need to evolve to that point. I know it's going to come at severe criticism, severe pushback, because as you can appreciate, every project that we have embarked upon, from the development of the Valley Main Road to the side roads to the airport road, have come under severe criticism. That said, you have to be able to ignore the noise and focus on the grand picture, which is sustainability for Anguilla. Now it goes back to the point that you asked about the expansion of the Blue Ferry Terminal. And this is why we thought it was important that we have a flat roof. We thought it was very important that we have a flat roof and ensure that we also have the conduits necessary for when we have the financial wherewithal to move towards renewable energy, to be able to place solar panels on that roof, but not also to place solar panels on that roof, but also to expand on the upstairs, to probably present more concessions, a food court, an area where people can go and dine, have different dining options, central dining space, also different dining options around, everybody will dine in the same space, but you have the different options with great views and so forth. So in terms of revenue generating opportunities and also business opportunities for entrepreneurs in Anguilla, these are the things that I was keen about in order to, this is why the facility is built the way it is, so that you can expand in the future. Maybe not in the far too distant future either, because I'm ready this year, I'm ready next year, once the finances become available and they can do it, to move forward with that. One of the things that I was keen about with the Blue Ferry Terminal 2 is paid parking. This is perhaps one of the one destination that I know of that people just park their vehicles however it is. I wanted an orderly way of how we park our vehicles, and also to create another revenue generating mechanism for the Anguilla ANC Ports Authority. So we've been in the design phase of the new parking facility, which would be paved and outfitted to ensure that the taxi operators, the car rental operators, visitors, everybody will have a place, staff place, that they can park their vehicles, and of course a revenue generator for the Anguilla ANC Ports Authority. Right now at the present facility, we have paid parking. That's premium paid parking. That's right adjacent to the building. That's completed. We're in operations on the 30th of this month. So we are ready. We are hoping to improve the road on the western side. That is a private right of way. Hopefully the landowners will be happy with us improving that. We have already reached out to them. They have given access to give them some time to consider it. And if they consider it, then we can go ahead and improve that road, which will facilitate them and our visitors alike, because what we want to have is a one-way traffic flow so that we don't have any congestion at the port. On the 1st of July, the 1st of February, my mistake, we hope to commence on a brand new taxi stand for taxi operators. I thought that was very important that our taxi drivers, because when I spent my time out of government, I've been called by taxi drivers to complain about the lack of facilities for them. And so, as we improved the facilities at the airport for them, once we came to office, because it was in a really dilapidated state, we are now going to build a new taxi stand in the northeastern corner of the facility for the taxi drivers, and that will facilitate them. We're also doing some amendments to the Taxi Act so that we'll have two classes of ground transportation, and to regularize and regulate that business as well. So there's a lot of work that we're doing behind the scenes to really grow our product, enhance our product, and ensure that we exceed our expectations.
Great. And so, as we look to open this new facility, is there anyone, I know you've pointed out a few of them before, but is there anyone that you wish to thank specifically for getting us to this point of being able to open the Glum Point Ferry Terminal?
First of all, I'd like to thank God. I'd also like to thank my father for his guidance. I would also like to thank the 727 people who voted for me in Road South, because without them voting for me, elected me to this position, I don't believe that we have gotten to this point in the manner that we've gotten to this point. I'd also like to thank contractors, Zanko, Vincent Carty, Pastor Gary Hodge, the electrical contractor, Mr. Leroy Gomes, who have done a magnificent job, he and his team. I would like to thank Esther Niles and Claudia Storms for project managing this right to the end. I mean, they have done a tremendous job. I cannot speak to the job that they have done more than I have done in the past. But I also like to thank my team here at the Ministry of Infrastructure who bought into the vision and started to believe. And once they believed, then we could all move in the right direction. I also like to thank the Premier and the Cabinet, because without their support, we couldn't be here. But I also like to place on record my gratitude to the taxpayers of the United Kingdom, both the former Governor, Mr. Tim Foy, who really guided and worked closely, intimately with me, and also High Excellency the Governor, Mr. Daniel Selvaratnam, who continued and ensured that everything was in place to ensure that we got to this point. I would also like to thank Mr. Darren Forbes Beatty. He's not here anymore, but his guidance and his tenacity is also something that I appreciate, and I would like to send out my gratitude to him over there in cold Russia. But there's so many people to thank that I may miss some names, but I can't thank Raul and Panapul enough. This guy is a genius. He turned around the initial drawings in less than 2 days. Think about that, within the school. And he was always there whenever you need him. He's soft-spoken, he's not a man of many words, but once you give him the directions, he delivers. And he delivers on time, every single time. And I'm very happy that he has also is on the team for the airport development. As we move from the Blowing Point development, we're moving to the airport development, and we're going to have that airport development done, and then we're going to go in Blowing Point. We'll be building an indoor sporting facility in Blowing Point starting in the first quarter of this year. So there's so much that is being done. And I also want to say that we are also in the development stage of a brand new cultural center. So there's so much that we are working on that I'm excited. I know it's just 2.5 years, but I'm excited about the prospects of the next 2.5 years.
Excellent. I hope to be back soon as we look at opening those other projects which you've spoken about. But for today, I know that you are very proud, your team is very proud of the work that has been done in a short period of time to see this project to completion. So congratulations to you and your team, and congratulations to the people of Anguilla for this excellent facility that we now have, and I hope that we appreciate
and take care of it.
And take care of the facility that is here for us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Governor, Mrs. Delini Daniel Silvernatum, Honorable Premier, Minister of Finance, Health and Economic Development, Dr. Ellis L. Webster, Honorable Speaker of the Anguilla House of Assembly, Mrs. Barbara Webster-Bourne, Honorable Deputy Governor, Mr. Perrin Bradley, Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Lands and Physical Planning, Mr. Kenneth Hodge, Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Communications, Utilities, Housing and Tourism, Mr. Hayden Hughes, Honorable Minister of Social Development and Education, Ms. Deanne Kentish-Rogers, Honorable Minister of Sustainability, Innovation and the Environment, Mrs. Quincy Marie Gums-Marie, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mrs. Cora Richardson Hodge, Honorable Elected Member and Parliamentary Secretary, Mr. Merrick Richardson, Mr. Jose Vanterpool, Honorable Elected Member, Mrs. Celia Rogers Webster, Honorable Second Vice President, Saint Martin, Mrs. Bernadette Davis and her delegation, Honorable Minister of Health, Social Development and Labor, Saint Martin, Mr. Omar Otley and his delegation, Honorable Member of Parliament, Saint Martin, Ms. Ludmilla De Weaver and her delegation, Honorable Minister Lambrix, Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transportation and Communication, Chair of the Public Service Commission, Mrs. Vida Lloyd Richardson, Permanent Secretaries, the Commissioner of Police, Mr. David Lynch, heads of department and statutory bodies, members of the Public Service Commission, visiting delegations from Saint Martin and St. Martin, further afield, including the media, specially invited guests. I see Board of Directors, the CEO and management and staff of ASPA, media houses, guests tuned in via live stream, residents of Blowing Point, fellow Anguillians, a pleasant good afternoon. We are here this afternoon to celebrate persistence, fortitude, and will of all who have made this building possible. Now hurricane-proof and earthquake-proof and all other proof. Goodreads on the World Wide Web says a nation is alive when it grows, constantly discarding its outdated traditions, habits, rituals, and assumptions. We must eradicate ignorance and illiteracy from our nations and continent to the nearest minimum for us to have national development. We take pride in this building, designed by Anguillians, built by Anguillians, project managed by Anguillians. We can be proud, is to say the least. We are teeming with pride, teeming with excitement. And for those who will have the privilege of stepping into that building, believe you me, be prepared to be wowed. I trust that this afternoon will be one of celebration, one of national pride. And we can all pat ourselves on the back for a job well done. At this time, we will have the national anthem and national song, and we invite all of us to stand. as we are waiting, as a matter of housekeeping, kindly put your cell phones on silent or vibrate. Yes, a fitting round of applause. And if you recognize, they were all male voices. We thank the male choir for that wonderful rendition, those wonderful renditions. And yes, as in the lyrics, mighty will make her, long may she prosper. At this time, I invite Pastor around the aisles to invoke God's blessings on our proceedings.
I invite us to bow our heads as we approach the throne of grace. Almighty God, we come before you at this moment, giving thanks and praises for the blessing of life and for the opportunity to be assembled at this new facility. To you be all glory, great things you have done. At this time, we plead for your presence to breathe life into this historic ceremony. We are thankful to you and to all those who have worked hard to put this program together. We ask that the program will run smoothly and that our time here will be one of reflection and refreshment.